At the moment, there's a lot of doom and gloom in the world, but in the past, Liz has talked about Blue Lotus essential oil being really great for connecting with the beauty in life. And so I wanted to have a chat with Liz today and explore that a little bit more. So, Liz, why is Blue Lotus so good for helping us remember that life is beautiful?
I think it's such an important thing to be able to talk about that right now because I think I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, but in the UK right now, politics is very dark. We're filming this today, and we lost the football yesterday, and it feels very, very low. And if you're not careful, that can really bring your vibration down, can't it? And that goes to no good place than making you feel depressed, feeling dark. And one of the things I found most beautiful about doing the Melissa work was it helped me to connect with the beauty of life. And for a long time, I was thinking there isn't really an easy essential oil that helps this. Till I started to explore Blue Lotus. And when I started to think about it from an ancient Egyptian point of view, really helps to tap into the beauty of nature, the beauty of what's happening around you, the beauty of your circumstances, and kind of helps you to shift that perspective in life. And as an isolated subject, that seems kind of, like, so what, right? But well, the more that you explore things like why people are in pain and the things that make their pain worse and stress that makes their life worse, and that they become very fixated on, well, why did this happen to me? I'm in pain all of the time, and get sucked into that pain cycle, which then sets off all sorts of sort of inflammatory processes in the body and literally makes you be more in pain. I think anything that can be able to switch you out of I'm being swung like a pendulum, they call it in reality transurfing, being like swung by people's thoughts, other people's narratives, and being able to look and go, but also, gosh, wow, look at these lovely things that are happening around me. Immediately you can do that, your body chemistry changes and it shifts you from a position of your body going, but also, did you even think about pain? To, gosh, wow, I never even thought of that before. And I think from a cognitive science point of view, that the brain can only really focus on one thing at a time. If you're focusing on an experience that is beautiful, pain switched off just for a moment. And I think therapeutically, a tool that people don't explore very much because they think, oh, it's just a spiritual thing. But from a mind, body, spirit perspective, really, really powerful tool, I think.
It's really interesting how we're talking about like light versus darkness. And when we think about the biggest source of life in our lives, it's the sun. And if we look at the plant, it responds to the sun. It closes its petals when the sun goes down. It kind of will move with the path of the sun as well. So the flower that gifts us this beautiful essential oil is actually showing us in its own actions. Don't worry about the shadows. Don't worry about the darkness. Follow the light, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I've got a course, an online course about Blue Lotus. It took me quite a long time to write. And one of the things that I got really interested in was its association with the sun. And I discovered that recently some clever scholar who's done loads and loads of research, the gods that are associated with the sun. And he was able to, I think it was a he, might not have been, they were able to associate that there were 72 different deities associated with the sun, based on the different times of the day and the qualities of that sun. So, like whether it's fierce and well, like we've got here at the moment, parching the land, or that it's beneficent early morning light. And we'll talk in another video about Nefertum. Nefertum was the dawn's early light. It was the first rays of hope after the darkness. And I really get that feeling with the beauty. Like I'm so dragged down by everything that's going on. I can't really concentrate because the narrative of all the stuff that's going on in the world is overwhelming at me. And then suddenly you have this kind of almost like a shift around the corner. Gosh, look at that. I think it's really, really powerful and beautiful.
And the amazing thing about this oil is not only can we cultivate beauty on the inside, but we can cultivate it on the outside. I love popping it on my face, especially in the extremes of summer and winter. Really helps with dehydration. But for this kind of cultivating this appreciation of the beauty of life, how would you recommend people use it, Liz?
Well, I think inhalation is so, so lovely. If somebody asked me the other day, if you could only say one thing about aromatherapy, what would it be? And I was like, oh, I can't decide between two. So I'm going to tell you what the two are. The first is that essential oils are not aromatherapy, and aromatherapy is not essential oils. Aromatherapy as a practice involves more than the symptoms. It is like the mind, body, spirit, and looking at more different perspectives. You cannot commodify aromatherapy into just selling essential oils. That would be the first thing. Um, but the second thing would be that we talk so much about putting it on the skin, but now there is so much science about how we can make amazing changes in our brain just by inhaling essential oils. And we've talked before about the incredible experiments with things like rose and geranium, where they were able to prove that the bones actually became more dense because they increased oxytocin through the olfactory receptors. So if we think about how we inhale essential oils, there's some like really interesting things to say about it. So first of all, when we the molecules go up our nose, we go to like a tissue, a round sort of plate of tissue, which has around about 100,000 receptors. But in some strange capacity, what it can translate it into is around about 3 million different scents. That's most the average human can recognize 3 million different scents, which is extraordinary. And so we know that obviously more than one scent is on more than one receptor, right? For example. But the other interesting thing from there is, well, how does it do that? So it translates it into the limbic system. And the limbic system is the part of the brain so ancient, really kind of a primitive thing that is thoughts, learning, cognition, mood, appetite, all of those things. So when we inhale it, it goes immediately into that. So if we want to really adopt something that will affect somebody's mindset, inhaling the essential oil is always going to be the quickest way of doing it. And the other thing is that when we inhale any kind of smell, actually, when we smell it, it doesn't pass a part of the brain called the thalamus. And the thalamus like controls all of the other senses, and it's like a filter. And so the information moves more slowly to the brain if it goes through the thalamus, because obviously it's like going to Wales when you're trying to get to London. It goes completely different destination, and it filters out the information. So therefore, it kind of goes, well, maybe not relevant, maybe relevant, and the thalamus is presumably, I don't know, but like controlled by things that have happened to you before, fear and things like that. But when you inhale something, that's out the equation. It just goes straight to the brain and it goes, oh, what are we going to do with that? Well, straight away, what we're going to do with that is engage it in a thought process. So if we want to deal with things like mood or emotions, that's always going to be the quickest way into the brain. And so if somebody does, I'm not sure you notice it so much yourself, you're more likely to be in a room with somebody and go, wow, they were dark today, but also, you can see people sinking, can't you? Things happen to people because depression is a result of response that something's happened to somebody. You know, somebody dies, they lose their job, lose their house, whatever. But you can see them going down, down, down into this dark, dark place. And science shows us that that kind of, oh, they lose all the color. They don't smell things as acutely. So it's like the spirit has been completely dampened, and to be able to access that, there are essential oils that will do other things. I think in terms of going, oh, stop that descent, get back above, get back above, to get back to the sunlight. I don't think there's another oil that's as good as it, really.
Mm, yeah. And talking about good, one thing I have noticed that when it comes to Blue Lotus, there are a lot of adulterated versions out there. So I'd really encourage you to look at where you're getting your Blue Lotus from. The only one I work with is the one from doTERRA. And if you do some searching on doTERRA's Blue Lotus on YouTube, you'll find some really great resources helping you to understand the difference between what you may be buying and what's actually Blue Lotus. And I know that when I first smelt doTERRA's, it wasn't as potently floral, but neither is a flower when I smell it either. So I think that's really important. We've also done other videos
Yeah,
where we've taken deep. Oh, sorry, go on.
yeah. So I was just going to say that I was sent some Blue Lotus a little while ago, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was really heavily perfumed. But when I asked, well, can I see a GCMS report? There is no GCMS report, and I was asking about how was it made and how are the other oils made that were that came with the same samples in particular the myrrh, which was really heady and beautiful. The explanations of how it had been made didn't add up to how it should be made. And I agree. This is an oil that has a lot of people selling poor representations. And I think I do have one, an old one from a lady called Denise Brown, which is really heavy. It's an absolute rather than an essential oil. The essential oil is very, very delicate. Um, and yeah, do be really careful of the people, the vendors that are out there. And you're quite right, doTERRA has a GCMS. You can see what you're buying. And it doesn't have a very strong fragrance, but it does have a beautiful vibration.
I think just with the fragrance, it's very much about it's got that more subtle aroma, but it is taking you to those higher realms that aren't so bright, like aren't so smack you in the face. They are a little bit more subtle, so it calms you down and encourages you to kind of connect with that as well. But of course, if you'd like to dive deeper into Blue Lotus as well, we've done a full big chat on that. You'll see us link to that at the end of this video. But make sure you let us know. Have you worked with Blue Lotus, and can you see how it can help you face the light rather than the darkness? We'll be back again soon when we talk about beautiful aspects of Blue Lotus. Until then, take care and blessed be.